I'm up. I'm up. I lost everything. That dog was a final gift from my dying wife.
Jonathan, you got out once. You dipped so much as a pinky back into this pond.
Time. Make sure to subscribe to stay updated with our latest videos. In today's video, we're going to talk about one of the most iconic action movies of all time, John Wick. We'll discuss what this movie is all about, where you can watch it, and all the amazing facts surrounding this blockbuster film. You'll get complete information about which OTT platform or satellite channel you can watch John Wick on. We'll also dive deep into the film's technical department, its powerful music score, the intense pre-production process, filming locations, post-production insights, budget, and box office collection. Not only that, we'll also discuss the story of this film and give you a short review of its gripping plot. In addition, we'll explore interesting facts, the complete storyline, star cast details, actor performances, and which actor played which role. That's why I request all of you to watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. John Wick, 2014. Plot and narrative analysis. Overview. John Wick, 2014. Directed by Chad Stahelski and written by Derek Kolstad, tells the story of a retired hitman who is drawn back into the criminal underworld after a senseless act of violence. The film follows a mostly conventional narrative structure but stands out due to its focused pacing, mythic world-building, and emotionally charged premise. Its storytelling relies on a linear timeline, but enriches the narrative with implied backstory, stylized visuals, and an undercurrent of grief and vengeance. Narrative structure. 1. Introduction, exposition. The film opens with a somber scene. A dying John Wick crashes his SUV and watches a video of his deceased wife, Helen. This moment flashes forward from the main timeline and sets an emotional tone before cutting back to the beginning. Grief and solitude. After Helen's death due to illness, John is shown living a quiet, reclusive life. Her final gift to him, a beagle puppy named Daisy, arrives with a letter expressing her hope that he will learn to love again. This setup creates immediate emotional investment. The dog symbolizes John's last connection to his humanity and to Helen. 2. Inciting incident. John encounters a group of Russian thugs at a gas station, led by Iosef Tarasov, who demands to buy John's car. John refuses. Later that night, they break into his home, beat him, steal his car, and kill Daisy. This act of violence is the emotional trigger and sets the main plot in motion. Though seemingly simple, the murder of the dog, an unusual but powerful storytelling choice, carries heavy symbolic weight. It's not just a pet's death, it's the destruction of John's last emotional anchor. 3. Rising action. When Viggo Tarasov, Iosef's father and a powerful Russian crime lord, learns what his son has done, he knows the consequences. John Wick, a former assassin known as Baba Yaga, is coming for vengeance. Viggo attempts to contain the situation. He puts out a $2 million bounty on John's head and sends a hit squad to kill him, which John dispatches with brutal efficiency. The world of assassins is introduced through the Continental Hotel, a sanctuary with strict rules. No business on hotel grounds. This hidden underworld adds depth to the otherwise straightforward revenge tale. 4. Climax. John tears through Viggo's criminal network, killing dozens and making his way closer to Iosef. Iosef is eventually executed in an anticlimactic but cold moment, reflecting John's singular focus. This isn't a cathartic revenge but a grim necessity. 5. Falling action. Even after killing Iosef, John is not done. Viggo retaliates by killing Marcus, John's ally, and continues to pursue him. John, in turn, goes after Viggo. In the final confrontation, they fight brutally, and John kills Viggo in hand-to-hand combat. 6. Resolution. Wounded, John breaks into a veterinary clinic to treat himself. He adopts a pit bull puppy scheduled to be euthanized, symbolizing a new beginning and emotional healing. Key turning points. Daisy's death shifts the tone from mourning to vengeance, reawakens John's past life. Reactivation of John Wick. The moment he digs up his buried arsenal signifies his return to the world he left behind. Hotel Continental's code establishes the deeper world-building and moral code of the assassin universe. Iosef's death offers no relief, emphasizing the film's theme. Vengeance may be just, but it brings no peace. Final dog adoption ends on a note of redemption and potential emotional recovery. Emotional and thematic impact. Grief and love. The entire narrative is powered by the emotional resonance of John's loss. The dog isn't just a plot device, it's Helen's embodiment, her last attempt to bring peace into John's life. Its death is not just tragic, it's personal, brutal, and a desecration of love. Revenge and consequences. Unlike many revenge thrillers, John Wick doesn't glamorize its violence. Though the action is stylized, the emotional core is somber. John's journey is not about justice but pain, and every step deeper into violence is a step further away from peace. Identity and redemption. The film explores John's struggle between his past and present selves. Is he the brutal killer Baba Yaga or the grieving husband trying to move on? His descent back into violence is not glorified but treated as tragic inevitability. A man who had escaped hell, only to be pulled back in. World building and mythology. The Continental Hotel, gold coins, blood oaths, and rules of the underworld introduce a mythology that elevates the film above a standard revenge flick. This allows future sequels to expand organically without diluting the original's emotional impact. Conclusion. John Wick, 2014, follows a traditional linear narrative structure, beginning, middle, climax, and resolution, but infuses it with emotional intensity, sleek visual storytelling, and a unique criminal mythology. The film's genius lies in its simplicity, a man seeking justice for a deeply personal loss. Yet, it wraps that simplicity in a complex emotional landscape and an intriguingly structured underworld, turning what could have been a generic revenge story into a modern action classic. Would you like this breakdown translated into Urdu for your YouTube video script? John Wick, 2014. Character Development Analysis. Overview. John Wick, 2014, may appear on the surface as a stylish action thriller, but beneath its gun-fu sequences lies surprisingly strong character development, particularly for the protagonist. The film doesn't aim for character growth in the traditional arc sense, e.g., flawed hero becomes better, but instead uses restraint, symbolism, and emotion to portray a man wrestling with the reawakening of a buried self. The development of supporting characters also enhances the mythic quality of the world and reinforces the emotional and thematic stakes of John's journey. 1. John Wick, the man, the myth, the grieving husband. Initial state. At the beginning, John Wick is not an assassin, he is a grieving widower. He's quiet, emotionally numb, and detached from the world. The death of his wife Helen has hollowed him out, but her final gift, a puppy named Daisy, is the emotional thread keeping him tethered to a life of peace. Motivation. His motivation is deeply personal. Unlike typical revenge heroes fueled by pride or justice, John's rage stems from profound grief and loss. Dual identity. John represents a duality, the man who wants to live a peaceful life and the mythic figure known in the criminal underworld as Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. His return to violence isn't a transformation, but a regression, a return to a suppressed self. Character conflict. John's internal struggle is less about change and more about containment. The film makes it clear he doesn't want to return to killing, but he must, not for honor, not even for revenge in the traditional sense, but to mourn what was taken from him again. Growth or regression. One could argue that John doesn't grow as a character in a redemptive way. Instead, his arc is about rediscovery of who he was and the tragic impossibility of escaping it. Transformation. By the end, John has lost everything that reminded him of his wife. Killing Iosef and Viggo doesn't bring catharsis. It reaffirms the emptiness of vengeance. However, the final scene, where he adopts another dog, suggests a sliver of emotional recovery, perhaps a new beginning. 2. Viggo Tarasiv, the criminal father. Role and motivation. Viggo is a well-developed antagonist who is more than just a villain. He is a pragmatic, calculating mob boss who understands the consequences of his son's actions more than anyone else. He is not evil in a cartoonish way, but rather a man trying to protect his legacy and son, however flawed that son may be. Fear of John Wick. Viggo's fearful respect for John adds layers to both characters. His famous line, "He's not the boogeyman. He's the one you send to kill the boogeyman," mythologizes John while highlighting Viggo's desperation. Moral complexity. While he does unspeakable things, Viggo is bound by loyalty, business, and fatherhood. His decisions come from personal obligation rather than pure malice. Ack. Viggo begins as a powerful figure trying to contain John. As the film progresses, he devolves, losing men, control, and eventually his son. His final confrontation with John is a last grasp at power that ends in defeat, symbolizing the crumbling of the old criminal empire in the face of unstoppable vengeance. 3. Iosef Tarasiv, the catalyst. Characterization. Iosef is arrogant, entitled, and immature, the perfect symbol of careless privilege. His lack of foresight is what causes the entire plot to unfold. Lack of depth, on purpose. Iosef isn't meant to be a layered character. He represents blind aggression and selfishness, a stark contrast to John's cold precision. His death, when John finally catches him, there is no drawn-out battle. Iosef dies quickly, unceremoniously. This subversion serves a purpose. John isn't doing it for satisfaction, and the film isn't glorifying his revenge. It's just an act of necessary finality. 4. Marcus, the quiet ally. Role and loyalty. Marcus, a fellow assassin and John's friend, is a quiet observer who subtly helps John throughout the story. Though offered money by Viggo to betray John, he remains loyal, helping from the shadows. Symbol of brotherhood, Marcus's silent support emphasizes themes of loyalty and trust, rare commodities in the world of assassins. Death and impact, his brutal execution by Viggo raises the emotional and moral stakes for John. It triggers the final phase of his rampage, showing that loyalty in this world comes at a cost. 5. Aurelio and Winston, moral anchors of the underworld. Aurelio, mechanic. When Iosef brings John's car to Aurelio's shop, Aurelio punches him, not because of fear or anger, but because he knows what John is capable of. This small action introduces the legend of John Wick without exposition, and highlights the respect he commands. Winston, Continental owner. Winston represents order within chaos. As the manager of the Continental, he enforces the rules of the assassin world. His calm demeanor and respect for John suggest shared history and mutual understanding. Symbolic role, Winston doesn't change but adds gravitas to the world. His presence hints at a larger system, laying groundwork for future films. Character relationships. John and Helen. Though Helen appears only in flashbacks and a video, her presence haunts the narrative. She humanizes John and motivates his every action. John and Daisy. The brief scenes with the puppy are emotional and tender, rare in a violent film. Their bond, though short-lived, drives the entire narrative. John and Viggo. A relationship marked by history, betrayal, and inevitability. Their dialogue reveals mutual respect twisted by tragic circumstances. John and Marcus. Brotherhood forged in blood. Marcus's actions show that John is not entirely alone in this world. Conclusion. The characters in John Wick are deliberately crafted to serve both the emotional core and the mythological world of the film. While not all characters undergo radical transformations, they are rich with nuance, purpose, and thematic weight. John's journey is not a tale of redemption but of emotional unraveling, a man pulled back into darkness by loss. The supporting cast, Viggo, Marcus, Winston, and even Iosef, function as mirrors, foils, and extensions of John's past and present. In a genre often criticized for shallow characterization, John Wick stands out by creating emotional depth through silence, action, and symbolism. It's not a story of change, it's a story of a man realizing that he cannot escape who he was, but maybe, just maybe, he can find a sliver of hope to be something more again. John Wick, 2014. Performances analysis. Overview. John Wick, 2014, succeeds not just because of its sleek action or stylish world building, but because of the grounded, authentic performances delivered by its cast. The actors bring subtlety, charisma, and emotional resonance to a story that could have easily been reduced to generic action fare. Keanu Reeves leads with a restrained, haunting presence, while the supporting cast, including Nyqvist, Willem Dafoe, Alfie Allen, and Ian McShane, round out the world with rich, believable portrayals. 1. Keanu Reeves as John Wick, a masterclass in controlled emotion. Physical and emotional transformation. Keanu Reeves delivers one of the most defining performances of his career in John Wick. Known for his stoic style, Reeves takes that quality and refines it into a potent, emotionally charged portrayal of a broken man who is pulled back into violence. Internalized grief. Rather than showcasing grief through melodrama, Reeves allows silence and body language to speak volumes. Whether he's silently driving with Daisy in the passenger seat or digging up his buried weapons, his performance is marked by restraint and quiet suffering. Physical authenticity. Reeves trained extensively in gun fu, jiu-jitsu, and tactical movement for the role. His seamless performance in action scenes, with minimal stunt doubles, adds realism and emotion. The believability of John Wick as a legendary assassin hinges heavily on Reeves' physical commitment. Emotional weight. In key moments, like cradling his dying dog or watching Helen's video, Reeves conveys profound sadness with just his eyes. He doesn't need lengthy dialogue. His performance invites the audience to feel, not just observe. Verdict. Reeves doesn't play John Wick, he becomes him. His performance elevates the film from a revenge thriller to a story about loss, pain, and suppressed humanity. 2. Michael Nyqvist as Viggo Tarasov, charismatic and complex antagonist. Michael Nyqvist brings gravitas and nuance to the role of Viggo Tarasov, the Russian crime boss and reluctant enemy of John Wick. Rather than playing him as a generic villain, Nyqvist infuses Viggo with humor, intelligence, and weariness. Gravitas and subtle humor. Nyqvist's delivery is smooth and measured, even in moments of tension. His reactions to hearing that his son killed John Wick's dog are filled with panic masked by control, a mix of disbelief, fear, and irony. Moral complexity. Viggo is not inherently evil. He's a man bound by loyalty to his son, aware of the consequences, but helpless to stop them. Nyqvist presents him as a laid antagonist, not a caricature. Standout moment. His monologue about who John Wick really is, "He's the one you send to kill the boogeyman," is chilling and memorable. It sets the tone for the legend of Wick and showcases Nyqvist's command over tone and presence. 3. Willem Dafoe as Marcus, subdued, stoic, and noble. Willem Dafoe plays Marcus, a fellow assassin and old friend of John's, with grace and subtlety. His performance is quiet but emotionally resonant, serving as the moral compass in the dark world of killers. Loyalty without words. Much of Marcus's loyalty is shown through action, not dialogue. Dafoe uses subtle expressions to convey trust, wisdom, and compassion toward John. Fatherly presence. He brings a calm, almost mentor-like energy to his role, offering a contrast to the chaos around him. Standout moment. His death scene is tragic, not because of overacting, but because Dafoe allows the moment to linger in silence and dignity. His performance enhances the film's emotional stakes without stealing the spotlight. 4. Alfie Allen as Iosef Tarasov, petulant and punchable. Alfie Allen delivers a deliberately grating performance as Iosef, the spoiled son of Viggo. He's immature, cocky, and unaware of the storm he unleashes. Authenticity and arrogance. Allen leans fully into the character's entitlement. His petulance makes him both believable and hateable, the perfect catalyst for John Wick's revenge. Lack of control. Allen plays Iosef as a child pretending to be a man, a smart choice that highlights the generational disconnect between him and his father. Standout moment. His dismissive attitude in the garage scene with Aurelio, and his disbelief when told what he's done, underscores his ignorance. His cowardice at the end contrasts starkly with the legend he dared to provoke. 5. Ian McShane as Winston, sophistication and mystery. Ian McShane plays Winston, the enigmatic manager of the Continental, with suave composure and an air of mystery. He immediately gives weight to the secret world of assassins. World building through performance. McShane doesn't need to do much to be impactful. His voice, posture, and carefully chosen words make him both trustworthy and intimidating. Ambiguous morality. Winston doesn't take sides, he enforces order. McShane balances charm with steeliness, making you believe this man keeps the assassin world in line. 6. Supporting cast, enhancing the world. John Leguizamo as Aurelio. His brief role as the auto shop owner brings both humor and respect to the narrative. His punch to Iosef is satisfying and tells the audience a lot without exposition. Lance Reddick as Karen. As the concierge of the Continental, Reddick adds dry wit and professionalism. His performance hints at a broader structure of the assassin society. Adrianne Palicki as Ms. Perkins. She plays a ruthless and rule-breaking assassin, providing a great foil to John. Her cold demeanor and cunning nature are portrayed with confidence and menace. Conclusion. The performances in John Wick are a major reason for its critical and commercial success. Keanu Reeves delivers a career-defining role that combines emotional depth with physical intensity. Michael Nyqvist and Willem Dafoe provide powerful, layered supporting roles that give the narrative weight and humanity. Even the smaller roles are filled with actors who understand the tone and mythology of the film, enhancing emotion. In an action movie where the plot could have easily overshadowed the characters, John Wick stands out by ensuring every performance, whether leading or supporting, contributes to the emotional resonance and world-building of the story. The film's impact lies not just in its action choreography, but in the humanity, myth, and emotion brought to life by its cast. Would you like a script-style summary of this performance breakdown in Urdu for narration on your Facts and Review channel? Would you like a version of this in Urdu for your channel Facts and Review? 1. Introduction, Director's Vision and Legacy. John Wick, 2014, marks Chad Stahelski's directorial debut, a former stuntman and second-unit director, who brought a fresh, revolutionary vision to the action genre. Rather than crafting just another revenge flick, Stahelski created a neo-noir mythos around a legendary hitman haunted by grief. His deep understanding of movement, rhythm, and visual storytelling allows the film to stand out not only as an action spectacle but also as a cinematic character study. Key achievement: Stahelski combines stylized action with emotional undertones, creating a film that is simultaneously brutal and poetic. 2. Tone and mood, elegance in violence. Emotional undertones. Stahelski shapes the film's tone with a deliberate contrast between emotional vulnerability and visceral violence. The early scenes of quiet grief, from John's solitude to Helen's posthumous gift of Daisy, are filmed with somber stillness, setting a melancholic mood. Color palette, blues, grays, and cold lighting dominate the first act, reflecting John's mourning. Emotional core. The tone remains rooted in pain, not rage, a key emotional distinction that informs every directorial choice. Shift into mythic violence. Once John re-enters the underworld, the mood changes, neon-soaked clubs, Gothic interiors, and thumping music envelop the viewer. Stahelski creates a tone akin to a modern-day fable or legend. John is no longer a man, he becomes a force. Mood transition, from intimacy to surrealism, mirroring John's psychological descent back into violence. 3. Unique stylistic choices. Gunfu choreography. One of Stahelski's most influential contributions is the revival and reinvention of gunfu, a seamless blend of martial arts and tactical shooting. Wide angles and long takes. Unlike modern action films plagued by shaky cam and rapid cuts, John Wick features clear, fluid, and long-take action sequences. Precision over chaos. Every fight is choreographed like a dance. John's movements are efficient, clinical, emphasizing skill over brute force. Tactical realism. Stahelski used real combat techniques, such as three-gun training, giving every move a sense of authenticity. World-building through direction. The director subtly introduces an entire hidden society, the Continental, gold coins, rules of engagement, without over-explaining. This minimalist exposition enhances mystery. World hints versus lore dumps. Rather than giving exposition-heavy scenes, Stahelski relies on visual cues, character behavior, and environmental storytelling to establish this secret world. Winston and the Continental. These sequences feel luxurious and ceremonial, suggesting a code-bound society within a lawless world, a balance Stahelski maintains with elegance. Neo-noir aesthetic. John Wick revives the noir genre with a modern twist, rain-drenched streets, shadowy corridors, deep shadows contrasted with neon lighting and operatic music. Use of color, red and blue are dominant throughout action scenes, symbolizing violence and resolve. Lighting and reflection, mirrors, glass, and dim interiors are frequently used to reflect John's fractured self, a man caught between past and present. 4. Pacing and narrative flow. Controlled pacing. Stahelski employs a very deliberate pacing structure. Act 1, emotional setup, slow, introspective, allows audiences to connect with John's loss. Act 2, momentum and mythology. Once Iosef kills Daisy, the pacing accelerates. Each confrontation escalates John's return into his former world. Act 3, relentless drive. The final act is a crescendo of violence and resolution, never rushed, never dull. This structure ensures that John Wick remains emotionally grounded despite its action-heavy second half. No waste, no filler. There are no wasted scenes. Every moment builds character, moves the plot, or expands the world. Stahelski keeps the narrative lean and focused. 5. Shot composition and cinematic language. Elegance in framing. Stahelski, drawing on his background as a stunt coordinator, composes his shots with both visual flair and clarity. Centered protagonist. John is frequently framed in the center, reinforcing his dominance and mythical status. Symmetry and balance. Many fight scenes are shot symmetrically, mimicking the structure of martial arts kata and creating a visually pleasing rhythm. Stillness versus motion. Long, still shots are often followed by bursts of action, a visual metaphor for John's inner turmoil. Iconic sequences. Red Circle Club scene, multi-level combat, changing lighting, and bass-driven music make this a standout moment. Stahelski balances spatial geography with chaos beautifully. House invasion. The nighttime home assault, lit mostly by natural light and gunfire, shows John at peak efficiency. It's clinical and cold, yet cinematic. 6. Directional control over theme. Stahelski doesn't just direct action, he directs themes. Every stylistic choice, every moment of silence, every fight is shaped to serve the emotional heart of the story. Thematic directional choices. Loss and identity. John's grief isn't drowned in action, it's accentuated by it. The action becomes a metaphor for the internal chaos. Legend versus humanity. The way John is portrayed, feared, revered, blurs the line between man and myth. Stahelski captures this with larger-than-life staging and hushed dialogue. Rules and honor. The Continental's sacred rules reflect the theme of structure in a chaotic world, underscoring Stahelski's intention to elevate this beyond a basic revenge tale. 7. Final impression, visionary control. Chad Stahelski brings a laser-focused directorial vision to John Wick, shaping it into more than just an action movie. It's a mythic journey of loss and vengeance. Through unique stylistic flourishes, disciplined pacing, world-building without spoon-feeding, and a poetic visual language, he transforms genre expectations. Key impact. He redefined what modern action cinema could be: intimate, elegant, brutal, and unforgettable. Would you like a summary of this direction analysis in Urdu to use for your facts and review YouTube narration? 1. Introduction, a visual-driven story. The cinematography of John Wick 2014, led by Jonathan Saylor, plays a crucial role in transforming a standard revenge narrative into a stylized, emotionally resonant, and visually captivating experience. The camera doesn't just capture action. It reflects character, builds world, and deepens mood. Every frame feels deliberate, from the quiet intimacy of John's home to the brutal ballet of nightclub shootouts. Core strength. Cinematography creates a sleek, immersive world where beauty and violence coexist, adding texture, mythology, and emotional depth to the film. 2. Lighting, a dance between shadows and neon. Emotional symbolism through light. In the early scenes, John's house is lit with natural, diffused light, suggesting peace, stability, and vulnerability. This soft lighting mirrors his quiet grief and love for Helen. After Daisy's death, the lighting shifts to harsh contrasts. John is often half-lit or cast in shadows, reflecting the duality between the man he was and the assassin he becomes. Neon noir aesthetic. Saylor and the directors use neon lighting not just for visual flair but to define mood and location. Red Circle Nightclub. A striking use of saturated red and blue lighting creates a surreal, almost hellish environment. Red symbolizes danger and violence, blue represents control and precision, a constant contrast in John's character. Continental Hotel. Dim, golden lighting here reflects opulence, secrecy, and a timeless elegance, creating a sacred, rule-bound space in a chaotic world. See shadows and silhouettes. Shadows are used frequently to underscore danger, mystery, and moral ambiguity. John is often shot in silhouette, emphasizing his mythic, almost spectral presence. 3. Camera movement, controlled, fluid, purposeful. Precision in action. One of John Wick's standout features is the way action is filmed. Unlike many modern action films that rely on shaky cams and rapid cuts, Jonathan Saylor opts for steady, fluid tracking shots, long takes during combat, wide framing during hand-to-hand and gunfights. This choice serves two purposes. Visual clarity. Audiences can follow the geography of the scene. Emotional intensity. By staying with John longer, the audience experiences the tension, exhaustion, and tactical flow of each fight. Notable example. In the home invasion scene, the camera glides smoothly around the house. It stays low and close to John, mimicking his movements and heightening suspense. Stillness before the storm. Quiet scenes, such as John watching his wife's video or burying his weapons, are shot with little movement. This stillness enhances tension, allowing the viewer to emotionally invest before the chaos erupts. 4. Framing and composition, elegance in symmetry. Symmetrical compositions. John is often framed at the center of shots, reinforcing his dominance and focus. In action scenes, this balance mirrors his calculated mindset and razor-sharp precision. Negative space. Scenes of loneliness or reflection use negative space, empty areas around John, to emphasize isolation, particularly in the first act. Example: John sitting alone in the garage, dwarfed by shadows and architecture, a man swallowed by grief. Layered depth. Foreground or background layering adds cinematic richness. In crowded scenes like the nightclub, John moves through a textured world, people, lights, obstacles, emphasizing his singular purpose cutting through chaos. 5. Visually striking moments, iconic imagery. Red Circle Club scene. Arguably the film's most visually rich sequence. Color shifts, from blue-lit pools to blood-red interiors. Reflections, mirrors and water used to fragment imagery, symbolizing John's fractured identity. Multi-level action, shot from high angles, behind glass, and up close, giving a kinetic, immersive feel. Rainy graveyard scene. John's grief is echoed by nature, shot in natural grey light, with the frame filled with wet stone and sky, creating a somber emotional tone. Weapon montage scene. When John unearths his past, literally breaking into the cement floor to retrieve weapons, it's filmed with reverence. Low lighting and slow, steady camera movement give it the tone of a resurrection scene. 6. Cinematography as world building. The visual style isn't just about mood. It builds the mythology of John Wick's universe. The clean lines, luxury interiors, neon streets, and ancient rules are all visually expressed. The Continental Hotel feels like a temple of old world order. Underground clubs pulse with danger and temptation. John's home feels like a memory, quiet, isolated, soft, contrasting everything else in his violent world. Each environment is given a distinct visual signature, making the world feel larger, interconnected, and mythic. 7. Use of contrast and duality. Throughout the film, the cinematography plays with contrast. Color, warm versus cold. Light, day versus night. Motion, stillness versus rapid movement. This visual duality reflects John himself, a man torn between peace and vengeance, love and violence. Conclusion, cinematography as myth-making. Jonathan Saylor's cinematography in John Wick is a masterclass in visual storytelling. It serves the emotional heart of the film, elevates the choreography to cinematic poetry, defines the rules, hierarchy, and tone of the world, immerses the audience in both brutality and beauty. The film's clean compositions, vibrant lighting, and thoughtful camera movement turn a revenge story into a legend. Through its lens, John Wick isn't just a man. He's a myth, framed in light and shadow, wrapped in color and silence. Would you like a version of this cinematography analysis translated into Urdu for your YouTube script? Or would you like a thumbnail prompt suggestion for this topic? Movie Camera 1. Camera work, the language of movement. A. Long takes and wide shots. Director of photography Jonathan Saylor avoids rapid cuts during action. Instead, he employs long, fluid takes and wide framing to allow full choreography to shine. Why it works? Audiences can appreciate Keanu Reeves' movements without visual confusion. It also enhances John Wick's reputation as a precise and unstoppable force. You witness every tactical decision, every reload, every step. Example. In the Red Circle Club sequence, the camera moves with John, not against him. There's a subtle tracking movement that follows the flow of violence with hypnotic smoothness, almost like a dance. B. Camera placement and perspective. Low-angle shots, often used to emphasize John's power and near-mythical status, especially when he re-emerges as the Baba Yaga. Over-the-shoulder shots, used during confrontations to place the audience directly in John's line of sight, creating a first-person emotional experience. Top-down shots, used in action scenes, like when John invades the church, to show his tactical advantage and mastery over space. Milky Way 2. Lighting design, visual emotion and world building. A. Motivated lighting. Most lighting in the film appears diegetic, meaning it comes from visible sources like lamps, club lights, street lights, or windows, adding realism and depth. Scene: John's house at night, lit with soft, moody interior lights and natural shadows. After the break-in, it becomes colder and darker, reflecting his psychological shift. B. Chiaroscuro and high contrast. Drawing from film noir traditions, John Wick often contrasts darkness and light. John's face is often half-lit, half-shadowed, symbolizing his internal struggle. Shadows cloak corridors and buildings, creating a sense of tension and unpredictability. Violent acts occur in dark spaces punctuated by bright flashes, gunfire, neon signs, headlights, enhancing the impact. Artist Palette 3. Color palette and symbolism. The film uses color theory to tell the story visually. It's not just stylish, it's narrative functional. A. Blue equals calm, control, cold vengeance. Dominates John's home and early scenes, representing his attempt at peace. As he re-enters the criminal world, blue returns, but in colder hues, signaling his calculated revenge. B. Red equals rage, danger, chaos. Bathes the Red Circle nightclub in gunfights, reflecting passion, violence, and emotional fury. The deeper the red, the more out of control the environment feels. C. Gold or warm hues equals ritual, rules, structure. Found in the Continental Hotel, where assassins follow strict codes. Candlelight and warm tones suggest an ancient, almost sacred institution, contrasting with the chaos outside. Cityscape #4. Set design and composition synergy. Sailor's cinematography aligns perfectly with the production design. A. Symmetry and centering. John is often placed dead center in the frame, especially in shootouts. This conveys his stability, focus, and dominance in chaos. Example: when John confronts Viggo in the church, the symmetry in the pews and altar highlights John as a wrathful god delivering judgment. B. Use of space and depth. Many scenes layer foreground, midground, and background, creating spatial depth. John often emerges from darkness, smoke, or crowds, symbolizing the hunter among prey. Speaker with 3 sound waves 5. Iconic visual set pieces, scene breakdowns. Large red circle nightclub, signature scene. Lighting, cold blue pools, red interiors, silhouettes through steam and fog. Cinematography techniques. Tracking shots as John dispatches enemies. Underlighting and backlighting to highlight gunfire. Mirrors and water create fragmented reflections, visualizing John's fractured identity. House-home invasion scene. Lighting, natural moonlight and hallway lamps. Camera work, slow dolly shots and sudden, sharp pans during combat. Creates a feeling of intimate, personal violation, a contrast to the public, stylized kills later in the film. Church scene. Harsh daylight and firelight clash in an otherwise holy setting. John burns the cash and sins of the underworld, literally lighting up Viggo's empire. Framed like a religious martyr versus devil confrontation, heightening moral symbolism. Cyclone 6. Cinematography as emotional mirror. The camera doesn't just show violence, it reflects John's inner world. John's mental state cinematography style. Grieving husband soft focus, still shots, natural light. Reluctant assassin cool blue tones, scented framing, quiet camera movement. Vengeful legend kinetic action, saturated lighting, bold contrasts. Resolute killer balanced compositions, slow motion, crimson-lit catharsis. Checkered flag 7. Final assessment, cinematography with purpose. Jonathan Saylor's cinematography is the soul of John Wick, not just supporting the narrative, but shaping it. Heavy checkmark #key achievements. Reinvented visual language of action cinema, clear, graceful, and beautiful. Used lighting and color to enhance mood, theme, and character. Framed scenes to reflect psychological depth, mythos, and pacing. Balanced realism and stylization to craft a timeless visual aesthetic. Would you like? Scroll a script version in Urdu for your YouTube narration. Artist palette a thumbnail prompt that visually captures this cinematography breakdown. Clapperboard a comparison with cinematography in John Wick, Chapter 2 or other action films. Clapperboard introduction, rhythm as a weapon. The editing of John Wick, 2014, is a fundamental pillar of its storytelling success. More than just a tool to cut between shots, the editing, led by Elisabeth Ronaldsdottir, serves as a rhythmic engine that propels both the emotional beats and action choreography. The pacing of the film is tightly controlled, blending character introspection with explosive violence, creating a tempo that rarely falters. Gear #1. The overall flow, purposeful, precise, and polished. From its opening moments to the final scene, John Wick maintains a measured yet dynamic flow. The film follows a 3-act structure, with editing choices that mirror the emotional and narrative progression. Act 1, setup and grief slower, contemplative pacing with longer takes and quieter transitions. These early scenes are emotionally driven, focusing on John's loss and the calm before the storm. Act 2, revenge in motion a steady escalation begins, marked by tight cuts, fast transitions, and rhythmic sequencing, especially during gunfights and chase scenes. Act 3, climax and resolution the editing quickens and intensifies, mirroring John's full transformation back into the assassin he once was, the Baba Yaga. The transition from each act is seamless, aided by editing that knows exactly when to breathe and when to strike. Black Scissors #2. Seamless transitions and visual continuity. A. Clean visual match cuts. Editors frequently use match cuts and motivated edits, cuts that are logically motivated by movement or sound, to maintain spatial awareness and flow, especially important in action-heavy scenes. For example, as John reloads or turns, the edit will follow his momentum to maintain clarity and immersion. B. Smooth action geography. One of the most widely praised aspects of John Wick is how well audiences can follow the action. Unlike modern action films that rely on chaotic jump cuts, John Wick holds on wide shots during fights, Uses straight cuts instead of flashy edits. Prioritizes geographic logic. Audiences always know where John is, where his enemies are, and what the stakes are in each second. This clear, disciplined editing style brings an elegant rhythm to the chaos. Counterclockwise arrows 3. Rhythm and timing, music, action and emotion in sync. A. Gunfu as musical choreography. The editing during action scenes feels almost musical. Gunshots, reloads, and combat moves are cut in sync with the score and sound design. Example, in the Red Circle nightclub sequence, the music and edits are perfectly aligned. The camera glides as the beat drops, and each gunshot or takedown is punctuated by a precise cut, creating a visual symphony. B. Contrast between quiet and chaos. John Wick's editors understand that impact requires contrast. Intense action is often preceded or followed by moments of silence or slow pacing, allowing emotional beats to settle before plunging into violence. These deliberate pauses, e.g., John watching the video from his wife, the burial of the dog, allow audiences to reset emotionally. This rhythm makes the action more impactful and the drama more resonant. Clock #4. Pacing analysis, never rushed, rarely dragging. A. Efficient runtime, 101 minutes. The film is lean, there's almost no filler. Every scene serves either. Emotional development, e.g., mourning Helen or caring for Daisy. World building, e.g., Continental Hotel rules. Plot progression, tracking IOSEF, confrontations. Or kinetic momentum, fight sequences and chases. B. Emotional pacing. Early in the film, the editing gives space to John's grief. There are longer takes, minimalist cuts, and slow fades to enhance melancholy. Once the violence begins, cuts become sharper and more frequent, but never disorienting. C. Tension building. Elisabeth Ronalds expertly controls tension and release. For instance, in the home invasion scene, there's a long build-up as John realizes something is wrong. The first punch is delayed, which increases audience anxiety. Once violence begins, edits become brisk and efficient, heightening the adrenaline. Counterclockwise arrows 5. Key scenes, editing highlights. Large red circle club sequence. Perhaps the most praised editing sequence. 3 music tracks laid across multiple areas of the club. Rapid cross-cutting between clubgoers, security, and John's targets. Slow-motion inserts used sparingly and effectively to amplify key kills. Maintain spatial continuity despite rapid movement through rooms, levels, and lighting changes. Automobile chase scene, toward the end. Clean editing makes car chases easy to follow. Uses short, sharp cuts in high-speed moments, but returns to longer takes to give clarity during kills and reversals. Quiet scenes, John alone at home. Uses dissolves, lingering static shots, and minimal dialogue to build mood. Transitions are unhurried, reflecting grief and emptiness. Counterclockwise arrows 6. Editing as a reflection of character. The film's editing mirrors John Wick's internal arc. John's mental state editing style reflecting it. Grief and reflection slow transitions, long static takes, fades. Determination awakening tighter edits, quicker transitions. Full assassin mode rapid, rhythmic action cutting, heightened pacing. End of the journey balanced, calm edits again, signaling closure. White-heavy checkmark 7. Final evaluation, editorial excellence. Heavy checkmark what works brilliantly. Crystal clear fight sequencing and spatial awareness. Emotional pacing between action set pieces. Efficient, narrative-driven rhythm with no bloat. Innovative use of rhythm to blend music and violence. Crossmark what could be critiqued, minor. Some critics argue Act 3 feels slightly less creative than the middle. Pacing remains tight but slightly more predictable. A few transition scenes, e.g., between minor henchman scenes, are brisk to a fault, moving too quickly past supporting characters. However, these are minimal critiques in a film where editing is one of its greatest strengths. Bullseye conclusion, editing that elevates. The editing of John Wick, 2014, is lean, elegant, and immersive. Elisabeth Ronalds crafts a rhythm that matches the title character's transformation, never losing clarity even in chaos. Every cut is deliberate, whether to enhance emotion, build tension, or let an action sequence unfold with balletic precision. It's editing that doesn't call attention to itself, but subtly sculpts the entire cinematic experience, letting the audience feel the rhythm of revenge. Would you like? Microphone this section adapted into a YouTube voiceover script in English or Urdu. Bullseye a short version for social media captions. Artist palette musical note introduction. music as the pulse of vengeance. In John Wick 2014, music isn't just an accompaniment, it's a sonic extension of the film's tone, mood, and character psyche. Composers Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard created a score that merges raw emotion with industrial aggression, threading melodic melancholy with pulsating electronic rock. Combined with a carefully curated selection of diegetic songs, the soundtrack becomes an inseparable part of the film's identity, guiding its emotional rhythms and sharpening its violent ballet. Musical Score 1. The sonic identity, style and sound palette. The film's score operates on two dominant emotional registers: melancholy and grief, slow, ambient themes with reverb-heavy guitar, minor keys, and haunting synth pads. Relentless action and precision, driving electronic beats, distorted guitar riffs, bass-heavy industrial percussion, and rhythmic pulses. This dichotomy reflects John Wick's duality, the grieving husband and the vengeful assassin. Headphone 2. Original score, composition and emotional resonance. A. Story of Wick, the main theme. Perhaps the most iconic composition in the film. Begins with subdued guitar plucks, gradually layering somber melodies with rhythmic tension. Serves as John's emotional theme, evoking loss, memory, and mythic reawakening. Reprises in key reflective scenes, such as remembering his wife, burying his dog, final walk at the end. Impact. This track anchors the viewer emotionally. It builds empathy and creates a mournful undertone beneath the action, a reminder that every kill stems from a deep wound. B. Think Red Circle Club sequence. A pulsing, electronic track performed by Kolstad, featured during the Red Circle nightclub massacre. Its hypnotic rhythm creates an eerie calm, contrasting with the brutal violence happening on screen. As a diegetic track, playing within the world, it deepens immersion and style. Impact. Instead of fast-paced rock, the song's cool, detached vibe elevates the surreal nature of the scene, reinforcing John's terrifying precision. C. Shots fired /assassins. Tracks with intense, looping motifs and pounding drums. Sync directly with action choreography, each beat timed with a reload, a kill, or a camera movement. Reflect the mechanical, almost ritualistic nature of John's killing. Impact. Rather than adrenaline for its own sake, these cues mirror the ritualistic discipline of the assassin world, enhancing the sense that violence is a craft in this universe. Counterclockwise arrows 3. Motifs and repetition, musical storytelling. A. Repetitive phrases equals psychological consistency. The score returns to similar patterns throughout: arpeggios, minor drones, and escalating tones. These motifs act as emotional reminders, signaling that no matter how far John dives into violence, his grief remains the underlying driver. B. Shift in instrumentation. Early motifs are played with soft guitar or piano, human, warm, intimate. Later versions are transformed with synths and electric guitars, colder, more mechanical, echoing John's descent. 4. The use of silence. Silence is just as important as sound. A. Grief and stillness. After Daisy's death, there are long stretches with minimal or no score. These quiet moments allow the viewer to sit in John's pain. The editing, camera framing, and ambient noise take over, creating a more realistic and emotionally raw atmosphere. B. Build up before action. Before shootouts, the score often fades out, creating anticipation. Then, at the first gunshot or movement, the music bursts back in, amplifying catharsis and momentum. Guitar 5. Licensed music, diegetic power and stylish world building. The soundtrack features several curated tracks that enhance the film's neo-noir style. A. Killing Strangers, Marilyn Manson. Plays during John's preparation scenes. Lyrics: we're killing strangers, so we don't kill the ones that we love. A perfect thematic match, cold, ironic, and reflective of assassin psychology. B. Think Kolstad. Dreamy, eerie, sensual, played inside the club. Adds elegance and dissonance to brutal killings, a stylish contradiction. C. Who You Talking to Man? Siskandra Nostalgia. Played during closing scenes. Voice and lyrics echo John's enduring legacy as a lone killer reclaiming peace. Overall impact. These tracks cement John Wick as a film that's not just violent, but cool, atmospheric, and emotionally charged. Level slider #6. Sound mixing and integration with visuals. The score is never overpowering. It's carefully mixed to allow sound effects, gunshots, reloads, footsteps, and dialogue to shine when necessary. The soundscape is layered, with subtle transitions between. Score and ambient noise. Music that begins non-diegetic and becomes diegetic, and vice versa. Rhythmic cues that sync with editing and action choreography. This tight integration gives the film its balletic flow. Every element moves in harmony. 7. Psychological and thematic role of music. Narrative purpose musical response. John's grief and love's slow, intimate guitar and ambient themes. Transformation into killer driving industrial beats and escalating loops. Assassin code and rules regal, structured instrumentation with metallic undertones. Inner peace versus outer violence contrast between soft silence and roaring aggression. The music follows John's emotional journey. It is not loud for spectacle, it is layered for meaning. White heavy checkmark 8. Final assessment. Sonic precision. Heavy checkmark what works exceptionally. Themes are memorable yet subtle, supporting the film, not overwhelming it. Standout tracks enhance iconic scenes. Red Circle, Dog Burial, Last Walk. Stylistic cohesion between score and world design. Modern, cold, mythic. Expert use of silence as a storytelling device. Integration with editing and cinematography is near flawless. Crossmark potential minor critiques. Some may find the electronic industrial tone too cold or synthetic for emotional resonance, but this is a stylistic choice aligned with the film's tone. The score does not rely on traditional orchestration, which might feel unconventional to viewers expecting epic musical themes. Bullseye conclusion, a score that bleeds style and substance. John Wick, 2014, features a soundtrack and score that enhances character depth, supports the mythic tone, and drives action with precision and purpose. Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard have composed a sonic identity that elevates the film's emotional beats while synchronizing perfectly with its stylized violence. It is a soundtrack that doesn't merely accompany the action, it narrates it. Would you like? Microphone # a YouTube-ready Urdu script version of this analysis? Musical note: a playlist-style breakdown of each song's usage for your video. Artist palette: a thumbnail prompt inspired by John Wick's soundtrack mood. A thumbnail prompt related to John Wick editing style. Introduction. Beneath the bullets lies meaning. On the surface, John Wick, 2014, may appear to be a sleek, stylish action film driven by revenge and violence. However, beneath its brutal surface lies a surprisingly rich thematic core. The film explores themes of grief, identity, consequences, code, and the inescapability of the past, all delivered through a carefully constructed world that blends mythic undertones with gritty realism. Rather than being a mindless shoot-'em-up, John Wick is a meditation on loss, morality, and transformation, cloaked in gunfire and neon. Wilted Flower 1. Grief and loss, the spark of the story. At its heart, John Wick is a story of a man mourning everything he once loved. Helen's death, his wife, leaves John emotionally hollow. Daisy's murder, the puppy she gave him, symbolizes the final severing of his last emotional connection to humanity. The dog is not just a pet, it's Helen's final gift, a living embodiment of hope, healing, and love. Theme impact. The film communicates grief without over-explaining it. Long silences, lingering shots, and minimalist dialogue allow the audience to feel John's pain rather than just hear about it. His rampage is emotionally grounded, not just a spectacle, making his violent acts feel tragic rather than heroic. Crosswords #2. Revenge and consequences, the cost of action. At a surface level, John Wick is a revenge tale. But it subverts that trope by showing the sheer consequences of vengeance. John's warpath reignites a blood-soaked past. Every action leads to escalation, not closure. His revenge comes at a cost: peace, solitude, and safety. Theme impact. Rather than glorifying revenge, the film shows its emptiness. John's retribution is emotionally understandable, but it ultimately pulls him back into a violent life he tried to escape. The film implies that while revenge may feel righteous, it rarely brings true peace. Bust in Silhouette 3. Identity and the inescapable past. A recurring theme is the question of who John Wick really is. Is he the grieving husband, or the feared assassin known as Baba Yaga? Can someone truly escape the past and change? As John slips back into the underworld, his dual identity resurfaces. Friends and enemies react with awe and fear, indicating how deeply his old self is etched into legend. You can't outrun who you are becomes the film's haunting undercurrent. Theme impact. The narrative suggests that redemption is possible but fragile. John's attempt to leave the life behind is admirable, but once provoked, the past consumes him again. The film presents identity as a battle between who we were, who we want to be, and what the world will allow us to become. 4. The Assassin's Code, Honor Among Killers. The criminal underworld in John Wick operates by a strict code of conduct. The Continental Hotel serves as neutral ground. No business conducted on hotel grounds. Coins, markers, and rituals show a structured, rule-based society. Even assassins must obey the rules. Those who break them, like Perkins, face severe consequences. Theme impact. This structure adds depth and irony. In a lawless world, rules matter more than ever. The film explores how order is maintained through fear and loyalty, and how honor can exist even among killers. It hints that even in chaos, humanity craves structure and meaning. Stop sign 5. Violence as language and identity. John doesn't speak much, he acts. And his violence is precise, efficient, and ritualistic. Each kill is methodical, not emotional. His combat style is defined by discipline, not fury. It's not rage, it's skill honed over years, a return to his true self. Theme impact. Violence becomes John's primary form of expression. Where words fail to convey grief, loss, and vengeance, his actions speak volumes. The film doesn't glorify killing. It presents it as a language, one John was fluent in, then chose to forget, only to be forced back into. 6. Myth-making, the legend of Baba Yaga. John Wick paints its lead character as something more than human. He's a boogeyman, a myth, spoken of with fear and awe. Stories about him have become legend, exaggerated, but based in truth. The film builds this myth through dialogue, reputation, and reaction, rather than action alone. He's the one you send to kill the *****ing boogeyman. Theme impact. This mythic framing gives the film a fairy tale quality, a dark modern fable. John Wick becomes a symbol of fear, of inevitability, of unstoppable force. The legend elevates the film from gritty crime to modern mythology. #7. Isolation and human connection. Though John is surrounded by people, assassins, acquaintances, enemies, he is fundamentally alone. He grieves in silence. His return to violence isolates him further. Even friends like Winston and Marcus keep a careful emotional distance. The loss of Helen, and the betrayal of peace, cuts him off from all genuine connection. Theme impact. This isolation is key to understanding John's psychology. He's not a hero. He's a lonely man holding on to the last thread of humanity. The film quietly asks, can someone truly come back from the dark when there's nothing left to come back to? Counterclockwise arrows 8. Order versus chaos, the balance of power. The world of John Wick is defined by balance and rules. When rules are followed, violence has purpose. When rules are broken, chaos reigns. Viggo's son Iosef upsets this balance by killing Daisy, an act of emotional stupidity that breaks the system and reawakens chaos. John. Theme impact. This theme reflects the film's broader idea. Actions have ripples, and systems built on control and fear can be undone by one careless mistake. It's a commentary on fragile order, and how quickly it can be shattered. 9. Thought-provoking takeaways. Grief is a beast with no logic. It drives people to extremes. Past identities are never fully buried. They can resurface at a moment's notice. Violence may be controlled, but it never heals. It only delays reckoning. Rules give purpose to even the most ruthless lives, and breaking them unleashes ruin. Whiteheaver checkmark conclusion. Depth behind the gunfire. John Wick 2014 may seem like a simple revenge thriller, but it offers layered thematic substance beneath the surface. Through visual storytelling, minimalistic dialogue, and a mythic tone, it tackles complex themes. Loss, identity, and grief. The allure and cost of vengeance. Moral codes in immoral worlds. The impossibility of true escape from one's past. Far from feeling forced, these themes are organically woven into the plot and action, allowing viewers to either enjoy the spectacle or reflect on the tragedy. In doing so, John Wick achieves that rare balance, style with soul. Would you like? Speaking head in silhouette # an Urdu voiceover version of this theme breakdown for your YouTube video. Bookmark a quote collection from the film that reinforces each theme. Artist palette a thumbnail prompt based on John Wick's grief and vengeance. Clapperboard introduction. Sleek, practical, and purposeful. In John Wick 2014, the use of visual effects is deliberately subtle, functioning in service of realism, precision, and immersion rather than spectacle. The film favors practical effects and grounded stunt work over heavy digital CGI, making the action feel tactile and immediate. When visual effects are used, primarily for enhancements, bullet impacts, blood splatter, or environmental manipulation, They are seamlessly integrated and nearly invisible to the average viewer. The result is a film that prioritizes authentic physicality, while employing digital tools only when necessary, preserving its gritty and grounded aesthetic. 1. Practical effects, the foundation of realism. One of John Wick's defining features is its reliance on practical stunts and physical effects, which play a dominant role in the visual experience. A. Gunfights and blood squibs. Most shootouts rely on live-action choreography and real-time muzzle flashes, often augmented slightly in post-production. Blood squibs and prosthetics were used for close-range kills and impacts. The stunt team worked closely with Keanu Reeves to execute tactical reloads, headshots, and fluid transitions, giving the gunplay a realistic, weighty feel. Impact. This use of in-camera effects enhances immersion. The violence is visceral, immediate, and grounded, helping maintain the film's gritty realism. B. Car chases and vehicular combat. Car stunts, including the muscle car sequences and garage battles, were performed using precision driving and practical rig setups. Crashes and collisions were orchestrated practically, with minor CGI touch-ups, e.g., removing rigging or adding sparks or debris. Impact. Because these sequences were done live, the sense of danger and momentum is palpable. The audience can feel the weight of metal and speed. Personal computer 2. CGI and digital enhancements, subtle but effective. While not a VFX-heavy film, John Wick uses digital effects to complement practical work without calling attention to themselves. A. Blood splatter and bullet impacts. Though some blood is created using squibs, digital blood is used when timing or safety requires it, especially in high-speed or long-take sequences. Digital muzzle flashes and sparks were occasionally added to enhance consistency and visual clarity in low-light environments. Execution. These additions are tastefully rendered, avoiding over-the-top spurts or comic book style. The blood behaves naturally, and the hits feel impactful, thanks to meticulous blending with lighting and stunt reactions. B. Environmental enhancements. Scenes at nightclubs, cityscapes, and inside the Continental are subtly touched up to create a stylized but believable urban atmosphere. Reflections, neon glows, and glass-shattering effects are enhanced digitally for emphasis. Impact. These CGI flourishes are used more for mood and aesthetic enrichment than as action focal points. They never distract. Instead, they help build the film's neo-noir tone. Counterclockwise arrows 3. Integration of VFX with cinematography and lighting. What makes the visual effects in John Wick so effective is how seamlessly they integrate with the film's moody, low-light cinematography. Most CGI elements are color-matched and composite to blend into natural lighting conditions, including the cool blues, deep shadows, and reflective surfaces. This synergy makes digital additions feel invisible, as they don't contrast with the camera's lighting logic or movement. Bullseye 4. Key scenes with effective VFX. A. Red Circle nightclub shootout. Water, lighting, and reflections were manipulated digitally to emphasize neon contrast and blood dispersal. CGI blood and mist effects blend with practical water elements to maintain the scene's surreal, dreamlike violence. B. House invasion scene. Bullet hits, wall debris, and window damage enhanced digitally to sell impact. Despite the VFX, the sequence feels authentic due to tight choreography and handheld camera framing. C. Car chase with Viggo's men. While primarily practical, digital work was used to erase stunt rigs, add shattering glass, and enhance tire screeches and firework-like sparks during impacts. 5. Why it works. VFX in service of story and style. Unlike modern blockbusters that rely on CGI as a storytelling crutch, John Wick uses it with precision and restraint. Never overwhelming the frame. Always enhancing what's already real. Never replacing what could be done practically. This design choice aligns perfectly with the film's tone of grounded hyperreality. It's a stylized world, but one where physical rules still matter. 6. Comparison, practical versus digital effects. Aspect practical effects digital, CGI, effects. Gunshots muzzle flashes, reloads, squibs enhanced flashes, digital blood for distant hits. Stunts and driving performed live by Reeves and team rig removal, spark effects, slight trajectory fixes. Environment real locations, props lighting tweaks, rain glow atmospheric layers. Violence impact real stunt reactions digital enhancements for headshots and precision hits. Balance achieved. The foundation is practical, and CGI exists only to polish, creating a final product that feels stylized yet grounded and believable. White have a checkmark conclusion, visual effects done right. John Wick, 2014, succeeds in creating a visually immersive world without CGI excess. The film uses practical effects as the core engine of realism, with CGI only applied to enhance, not distract. Every muzzle flash, blood spray, or shattered window is calibrated to maintain the illusion of precision, elegance, and weight. There are no overt CGI moments that break immersion, no cartoonish embellishments, just smart, subtle digital artistry complementing top-tier stunt coordination. It's a masterclass in how to blend physical and digital filmmaking to elevate modern action cinema. Would you like Movie Camera, a YouTube-friendly Urdu translation of this breakdown? Left-pointing magnifying glass, a list of behind-the-scenes facts showing how stunts and VFX were made. Artist palette, a thumbnail prompt inspired by John Wick's gun-fu and visual realism. Clapperboard introduction, a stylized world hidden in plain sight. In John Wick, 2014, the set design and location choices are more than just backdrops. They are an integral part of the storytelling, world-building, and emotional resonance of the film. From the cold emptiness of John's home to the richly stylized Continental Hotel and the neon-drenched Red Circle nightclub, the production design reflects the dual nature of John's character and the shadowy underworld he's drawn back into. Everything, from the architecture to the smallest prop, works together to build a gritty yet mythic universe that feels both tangible and timeless. House 1. John Wick's house, a portrait of grief and isolation. The film opens with John in his secluded, modernist home, a space that immediately communicates emotional emptiness and sterile order. Set features: clean lines, minimalist decor, muted colors and soft lighting, open spaces that emphasize silence and solitude. Symbolic value: the house reflects John's emotional state, a man who has carefully walled himself off from the world. It's a shrine to control and routine, until Daisy's presence briefly brings warmth, and her death shatters the illusion of peace. The set doesn't need dialogue to speak. It tells us John is a ghost, merely existing. Hotel 2. The Continental Hotel, class, mystery, and code. One of the most iconic sets in the film, the Continental Hotel is a masterclass in production design that conveys lore. Design elements: neo-Gothic and Art Deco influences. Dim lighting, rich red and gold palettes. Period architecture mixed with modern elements. Narrative role: it's not just a location, it's a neutral ground, a sanctuary where violence is forbidden. Every object and detail, gold coins, bartender uniforms, even the concierge's tone, reflects the strict code of the assassin world. Visual impact: the Continental is visually rich and immersive, establishing the mythology of a hidden society governed by honor, rules, and ritual. It transports the viewer into a secret world hiding beneath modern reality. Headphone 3. The Red Circle nightclub, chaos in color. Perhaps the film's most visually iconic sequence takes place in the Red Circle, a multi-level nightclub with striking set design. Design layers: industrial architecture, concrete walls, iron staircases, open balconies. Neon lighting, blues and reds dominate, creating a dreamlike, nightmarish atmosphere. Water elements: a spa-like pool area contrasts with the violence that erupts within it. Purpose and symbolism: the club's vibrant, layered environment mirrors the chaotic intensity of the action. The lights and reflections distort perception, reinforcing John's blurred line between humanity and killer instinct. The Red Circle is not just a set, it's a thematic war zone, where order dissolves into chaos. Recreational Vehicle 4. The Garage and Chop Shop, brutality and functionality. The scenes in Aurelio's garage and Viggo's chop shop are stripped down, grimy, metallic spaces, symbolic of the raw, unforgiving mechanics of the criminal world. Set features: dim fluorescence, tool walls, stacked crates. Oil stains, car parts, and industrial props. Utilitarian design: no beauty, just brutality. Function in story: these sets establish the machinery behind the assassin world, where violence is transactional and everything, including people, is disposable. Visual grit: the sets are practical but effective. They underscore the blue-collar brutality behind the mythic elegance of other locations like the Continental. Synagogue 5. Viggo Tarasov's office and safe house, power and decay. Viggo's world contrasts John's. His office and safe house are luxurious, ornate, but cold. These spaces are filled with expensive furniture, dim warm lighting, and framed paintings, projecting wealth but not warmth. Visual contrast: dark wood panels, glass, and rich furnishings. Lack of personal or emotional items. Everything feels performative, a facade of control. Narrative effect. These sets reflect Viggo's need to appear powerful while crumbling beneath the pressure of John's wrath. His safe house, too, becomes symbolic of false security, opulent yet penetrable. Cityscape at Dusk 6. New York as a character, urban realism meets underworld myth. The film uses real New York City locations but filters them through a stylized, noir-infused lens. Examples. Dimly lit alleys and wet streets reflect noir tradition. Iconic landmarks are kept minimal. Instead, focus is on unknown corners and urban backstreets. Subways, underpasses, and rooftops all feel inhabited and alive. Effect. New York feels both familiar and foreign, a hidden world within a city everyone knows, adding credibility to the idea of a secret assassin society operating unnoticed. Bullseye 7. Props, costumes, and micro-details. Even the smallest items in John Wick add to the world building. Gold coins, a mysterious currency system, adds texture and intrigue. Weapons and suits. John's tailored black suit becomes a symbol, part armor, part uniform. Business cards, phone styles, hotel keys. All are designed to hint at an older, analog world, hidden beneath modern technology. Effect. These items turn John Wick into more than a film. They make it a world you believe exists, just out of sight. Whiteheaver checkmark conclusion, a world within a world. The set design and locations in John Wick, 2014, are meticulously crafted to balance realism and stylization. Whether it's the sterile calm of John's home, the ritualistic ambience of the Continental, or the neon inferno of the Red Circle, every environment is an extension of the film's themes. Isolation versus immersion. Code versus chaos. Peace versus violence. Each set isn't just a background. It's a storytelling device, a reflection of character psychology, and a key to the film's immersive success. In this way, John Wick elevates its production design to the level of myth-making, transforming everyday spaces into stages for operatic action. Would you like map hash a breakdown of real filming locations in NYC used in the movie? Hotel a deeper dive into the Continental Hotel's lore across all films? Artist palette a thumbnail prompt highlighting the contrast between John's house and the Red Circle? Clapperboard introduction, simplicity with precision. The dialogue and script in John Wick, 2014, are lean, economical, and meticulously crafted. Unlike exposition-heavy action films, John Wick chooses restraint and minimalism, letting silence, body language, and carefully chosen lines carry emotional weight. The result is a script that feels mythic, grounded, and memorable, where every word counts, and iconic lines achieve near-instant pop culture status. Speech Balloon 1. Style of dialogue, understated yet impactful. The dialogue in John Wick walks a delicate line. It is sparse but meaningful, stylized yet believable, mythic without sounding exaggerated. Characters don't speak much, but when they do, their words carry weight. The dialogue isn't designed to explain everything. Rather, it enhances the tone, mystery, and world building. He's not the boogeyman. He's the one you send to kill the ***ing boogeyman. Viggo Tarasov. This single line conveys fear, reverence, and John's reputation far more effectively than a full monologue ever could. 2. Character-specific dialogue. Each major character has a distinct voice and tone, shaped by their background and function in the story. John Wick, Keanu Reeves. Quiet, introspective, and minimalistic. Rarely speaks unless necessary, but when he does, it's laced with resolve and subtle grief. His most famous lines often carry emotional duality, rage hidden beneath calm. Iconic line. People keep asking if I'm back. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back. This line defines the turning point for John. It's not just badass, it's layered with anger, resignation, and a sense of inevitability. #Viggo Tarasov, Michael Nyqvist. Eloquently spoken, philosophical, and occasionally humorous. Mixes threats with wisdom and sarcasm, elevating him from a typical mob boss. Standout line. It was just ***ing dog. To which his own disbelief soon follows as he realizes the magnitude of the mistake his son made. Unamused face Aurelio, Winston, and Marcus. Aurelio speaks in straight, punchy realism, a mechanic who knows his place in the pecking order. Winston is suave and cryptic, embodying the elegant codes of the assassin underworld. Marcus speaks sparingly, but always with intent, a veteran assassin shaped by loyalty and quiet understanding. Speaking head in silhouette #3. Script structure, minimalism with mythology. The film's script, penned by Kolstad, is remarkable for how much it says with very few words. It builds a universe through implication. No character explains the Continental's rules in detail. We observe them in action. The gold coin economy is never directly defined. It's shown in motion. John's backstory is not revealed through exposition. It's teased through others' reactions to him. This shows trust in the audience's intelligence, a screenwriting strategy rooted in show, don't tell. Explosion symbol 4. Balance of emotion and brutality. Despite being action-focused, John Wick's script delivers real emotional depth. The opening sequence, where John grieves his wife, includes minimal dialogue but communicates profound sadness. The delivery of the puppy, Daisy, is accompanied by a heartfelt letter, arguably the most emotionally direct writing in the film. When John tells Viggo why he came back, not just because of the dog, but because the dog was his last tether to hope, it reframes the entire revenge arc with emotional weight. 5. Subtext, irony and humor. While intense, the film includes subtle humor, irony, and subtext. When Aurelio punches Iosef and explains it was because he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog, it's both hilarious and terrifying. The sheer fear in characters' reactions when they hear John's name, often delivered with dry understatement, becomes a form of narrative irony and tension release. Oh! Viggo's simple reaction on the phone, after learning Iosef's target, is brilliant in its understatement. 6. Repetition and rhythm. The script uses repetition for emphasis, such as repeating John Wick almost like a legendary incantation, his back being echoed by multiple characters. This creates a poetic rhythm and reinforces the mythic tone of the film, that John is more force of nature than man. Open Book 7. Script highlights, memorable lines. Character line impact. John Wick, I'm thinking I'm back. Statement of return, transformation. Viggo is the one you send to kill the boogeyman. Establishes John's reputation. Aurelio, it's not what you did, son. It's who you did it to. Raises stakes through implication. Marcus, good luck, John. Understated loyalty. Winston, rules. Without them, we live with the animals. Reflects the assassin society's structure. White have a checkmark conclusion. A masterclass in minimalist screenwriting. John Wick, 2014, proves that a film doesn't need verbose dialogue to be profound or iconic. The script blends emotional weight, mythic tone, sharp wit, and restrained elegance, using dialogue not to explain but to amplify mood and character. Every line, or even lack of one, contributes to the world building, tension, and pacing. It's not just what the characters say, it's what others say about them, and how silence itself becomes a form of storytelling. Would you like? Scroll a breakdown of the screenwriter's approach and influences. Film a short dialogue-focused video script in Urdu for your YouTube channel. Fire a list of the top 10 most quoted lines from the film with context. Clapperboard introduction, redefining the modern action genre. John Wick, 2014, is more than just a revenge-driven action thriller. It's a landmark in genre reinvention. While it embraces core action film conventions, it elevates them through fresh world-building, mythological depth, and unique cinematic language. The film doesn't merely follow the rules, it rewrites them with elegance, efficiency, and brutal precision. Raygun 1. Primary genre, neo-noir action thriller. At its core, John Wick is a neo-noir action thriller, heavily focused on revenge, criminal underworlds, personal code of honor, stylized violence and emotional intensity. However, it redefines this genre hybrid by integrating high-concept world-building, e.g., the Continental Hotel, video game-like precision in action choreography, understated emotional arcs that anchor the violence in real grief. White have a checkmark 2. Genre conventions, honored and reinvented. Let's examine how the film interacts with standard action thriller genre elements. A. The revenge trope, honored but elevated. The idea of a man avenging a lost loved one is common in action cinema. But John Wick elevates it by attaching the emotional weight not just to a person, but to a puppy, a symbol of grief and healing. This subversion gives the story unexpected emotional resonance while keeping the plot simple and clean. B. The invincible hitman, turned into a legend. The retired assassin forced back into action is a classic archetype. John Wick leans into it, but mythologizes the character to an extreme degree. John isn't just skilled, he's a legend. Others fear him before he even appears on screen. Rather than showing his power from the start, the film builds anticipation through other characters' terrified reactions, a narrative choice that borrows from horror and Western genres. Fire 3. Action execution, fresh, grounded, and stylized. The film revitalized the action genre by bringing gun-fu choreography into mainstream Western cinema. Features of John Wick's action style. Long, unbroken takes. Tactical reloads and realistic weapon use. Martial arts blended with firearms. Physical commitment from Keanu Reeves, 90% of stunts done by himself. This style contrasts sharply with the quick-cut, shaky-cam editing popular in many 2000s action films. It made action readable, immersive, and beautiful, influencing a wave of post-2014 action films: Atomic Blonde, Nobody, Extraction. Classical building #4. World building, genre expansion through myth. One of the most original elements of the film is its deep, yet restrained world building. The Continental Hotel, a neutral zone for assassins with sacred rules. Gold coin economy, a mysterious currency system tied to a code of conduct. Implied global assassin network, an ancient society that operates in parallel to modern life. These ideas push the film toward fantasy and noir, giving it a larger-than-life tone without full explanation. Instead of dumping lore, the film lets the world unfold naturally, a technique more common in science fiction and fantasy than action thrillers. Pensive Face 5. Emotional core, real drama in a violent world. Despite its stylized action, John Wick is grounded by a sincere emotional arc. John's grief over his wife's death. His attachment to Daisy, the puppy. His conflict with returning to violence he tried to leave behind. This is rare in pure action films, where emotional beats often feel forced. Here, the drama is internal, quiet, and believable. Smiling Face with Sunglasses 6. Humor and irony, subtle but effective. John Wick doesn't aim for overt comedy, but it includes dry wit and dark humor, often through the fearful reactions of other characters. The absurdity of the underworld's rituals. The stylized over-seriousness of dialogue, used knowingly. For instance, the line "Oh," delivered by Viggo after hearing his son killed John Wick's dog, is deadpan, ironic, and brilliant. This understated humor adds texture without undercutting the film's tone. Performing Arts 7. Genre subversions. Genre convention John Wick's approach. Revenge hero gives emotional weight to a dog, not a person. Bulletproof protagonist still gets injured, exhausted, and pushed to limits. Expository dialogue keeps exposition minimal, world revealed through action. Over-the-top villain Viggo is grounded, almost philosophical. Action as spectacle action is beautiful and strategic. Bullseye 8. Influence and legacy. John Wick redefined genre expectations in the following ways. Resurrected the gun-fu subgenre. Proved that stylized action can coexist with emotional storytelling. Influenced multiple other genre-blending films. Gave rise to its own cinematic universe, John Wick 2-4, The Continental Ballerina. It didn't just fit the genre, it reshaped it, becoming the new gold standard for action choreography and tone. White have a checkmark conclusion, a genre classic with a fresh signature. John Wick, 2014, masterfully respects the core rules of the action genre while injecting it with emotional sincerity, innovative world building, crisp, readable action, minimalist dialogue with maximum impact. It doesn't reject genre tropes, it refines and reimagines them, giving the audience a familiar journey made unforgettable through style, detail, and mythic tone. As a result, John Wick stands as both a genre film and a genre revolution. Would you fire a genre comparison with films like Taken, The Equalizer, or Nobody? A genre timeline showing how John Wick shifted action film trends. Film hash a short YouTube-style narration in Urdu summarizing this genre execution. While John Wick, 2014, is first and foremost an action film steeped in stylized violence and revenge-driven storytelling, it subtly engages with deeper social and cultural commentary. Rather than making overt political statements, the film explores themes of grief, masculinity, codes of conduct, and institutional corruption within a fictionalized criminal underworld. These elements mirror real-world systems and reflect contemporary anxieties in understated yet powerful ways. Left-pointing magnifying glass 1. Grief, trauma, and emotional repression in masculinity. At its heart, John Wick is a story about grief, not just as an emotional experience, but as a defining, transformative force. The title character, having just lost his wife, is given a final gift from her, a puppy named Daisy. The death of the dog, a symbol of healing and hope, is what triggers the entire chain of violence. In many ways, John represents the modern male figure grappling with repressed emotion. The film critiques traditional notions of masculinity where vulnerability is hidden and pain is expressed only through violence. Rather than processing grief in a healthy way, John falls back into the world he escaped, one defined by brutality, hierarchy, and power. Cultural reflection. In a culture that often discourages men from expressing grief or weakness, Wick's character illustrates how unresolved trauma can lead to destructive outcomes. His rampage is tragic, not heroic, a metaphor for what happens when pain is internalized and given no outlet except violence. Classical building #2. Violence as language in institutional systems. The film creates a criminal underworld where violence is systematized and ritualized. The Continental Hotel, with its strict codes and gold coin economy, reflects a structured society that mirrors modern-day institutions, governments, corporations, or even elite social circles. The gold coins function as both currency and status, much like money in capitalist society. The no-killing on continental grounds rule resembles legal boundaries in warfare and politics, lines that are sometimes observed, sometimes broken for gain. Characters like Winston, Karen, and Viggo represent gatekeepers of power, much like modern-day bureaucrats, CEOs, or politicians. Social analogy. In this world, violence is transactional, and human lives have a calculable value. This reflects critiques of how real-world institutions often sanitize and regulate violence, whether through war, corporate exploitation, or legal manipulation. 3. Social stratification and class allegory. The hierarchical nature of the assassin world mirrors class structures. Not everyone has access to the Continental, nor can they afford to operate under its protection. John, a former elite operative, still benefits from his past status. He knows the right people, the right rules, and has the resources to execute his vendetta. Meanwhile, characters like Aurelio, the chop shop owner, or Marcus, the sniper, live in a gray area, useful, but not truly powerful. Even Iosef, despite being the son of a crime boss, doesn't fully understand or respect the deeper systems of power. Cultural layer. This stratification serves as a social commentary on privilege, who has power, who follows the rules, and who is protected by the unwritten laws of elite society. John is a product of privilege within a violent system, and his return to it shows how hard it is to escape entrenched class or social positions. Dove-4. Modern alienation and the search for meaning. Beneath all the violence lies a quiet observation. John Wick is a man without a place in the world. The world has moved on. His wife is gone. His past is a shadow that never left. This sense of existential drift mirrors the feelings of many in a modern, disconnected society. John's journey is less about revenge and more about reclaiming purpose, even if that purpose is violent. Philosophical parallel. Like many post-2000 anti-heroes, John Wick embodies the existential emptiness of modern life. The hyper-stylized assassin world becomes a metaphor for people navigating modern systems where identity is shaped by past roles and current utility, not genuine emotional connections. Warning sign #5. Violence and catharsis in pop culture. John Wick's ultra-violent response to personal loss taps into a broader pop cultural craving for catharsis through violence. While not political in a traditional sense, the film does comment on society's appetite for retribution narratives. The audience is meant to feel John's rage, but also question its scale. Over 70 people die because of a puppy. Is this justified? Or is it a symbol of how pop media encourages hyperbolic responses to emotional injury? Cultural mirror. In an age of viral outrage, online cancel culture, and escalating revenge fantasies in media, John Wick functions as both wish fulfillment and critique. It satisfies the fantasy of pure justice, but also raises the moral question, at what cost? White have a checkmark conclusion, subtle but subversive. Though not overtly political or allegorical, John Wick weaves in a surprisingly rich layer of cultural and social commentary. Masculine grief and emotional repression. Structured violence in elite systems. Class and power hierarchies. Existential alienation in modern life. Culture's addiction to violent catharsis. These themes are never spoon-fed but are embedded in the film's tone, world-building, and character arcs. John Wick doesn't just kill, it reflects the world we live in through blood-stained mirrors. Would you like Video Camera, a YouTube video script in Urdu for this theme? A comparison with social commentary in films like The Equalizer or Joker. Card file box #a PDF version of this analysis for your channel documentation? Let me know. I can tailor it for your facts and review brand. Movie Camera John Wick, 2014. Audience engagement. Explained from a third-person perspective, in great detail. John Wick, 2014, did not just earn audience admiration for its slick action. It emotionally and viscerally connected with viewers, creating an experience that triggered deep emotional responses, visual awe, and long-term loyalty. From the quiet pain of loss to the thunder of choreographed gunfights, the film offers a blend of emotion, adrenaline, and intrigue that keeps audiences deeply engaged, invested, and coming back for more. Red Heart #1. Emotional resonance through grief and love. From the outset, John Wick grounds its story in a quiet, universal emotion, loss. The early scenes of John mourning his wife, followed by the arrival of Daisy, her final gift to him, touch a nerve rarely reached in action films. When Daisy is killed, audiences aren't just shocked, they are heartbroken. The dog isn't just a pet, it's a symbol of hope, healing, and emotional connection in a broken life. The grief-fueled premise gives emotional justification to every bullet fired thereafter. Audience impact. This emotional setup creates instant empathy for John. Even casual viewers are hooked by his pain, making his revenge feel personal, justified, and deeply satisfying. Crossed Swords #2. Visceral excitement through action craftsmanship. The film revolutionized the action genre by delivering clear, precise, balletic combat that kept audiences riveted. Long takes and wide shots make the action readable and immersive. Gunfu techniques offer a unique blend of martial arts and firearm combat. The tactical realism, reloads, close-quarters takedowns, headshots, satisfies the modern audience's craving for smart, grounded violence. Audience response. These sequences elicited gasps, cheers, and awe, especially in theaters. John's combat style became iconic, inspiring memes, breakdown videos, and stunt fan edits across platforms. Face with Tears of Joy 3. Unexpected humor and irony. Despite its dark tone, John Wick includes moments of subtle, deadpan humor that audiences love. Viggo's dry line, "Oh," upon realizing his son killed John's dog is both chilling and funny. The world's over-the-top seriousness about assassin etiquette creates ironic tension. The repeated fear-driven reactions to John, "You stole John Wick's car and killed his dog," are funny because of how serious they are. Emotional variety. These lighter moments help balance the emotional tone, offering relief and adding texture. The humor is never out of place. It deepens the characters and enhances audience connection. Counterclockwise Arrows 4. High rewatch value and cult status. John Wick isn't just a one-time thrill. It invites repeat viewings because of the intricacy of its action choreography, the layers in its underworld world-building, the subtle emotional cues and symbolism, the style, from lighting to costume to sound, that fans love dissecting. Cultural engagement. Fans have created deep-dive analyses, fan art, cosplay, and lore breakdowns. It sparked a franchise and cinematic universe, proof of its long-term cultural imprint. Speech Balloon 5. Discussion and fan theories. The mysterious elements of the world building, the gold coins, the Continental, the Assassin Code, encourage speculation and online theory building. Is the gold coin economy symbolic of a lost moral system? Is the Continental a metaphor for diplomacy or the elite class? Audience discussion. Unlike many action films that fade after viewing, John Wick left fans asking questions, imagining sequels, and speculating about the lore, adding to the experience. Face screaming in fear 6. Shock and satisfaction. Certain moments are engineered to jolt the audience. The dog's death is deeply shocking and emotionally jarring. The precision with which John kills dozens of enemies elicits awe and disbelief. The boogeyman legend surrounding John creates anticipatory tension, building dread before he even appears in action. Emotional payoff. When John finally unleashes his skills, it's not just exciting, it's cathartic, offering a release to the tension the film carefully builds. Bar Chart 7. Broad appeal, from action fans to art lovers. While hardcore action fans appreciated its stunt work, pacing, and gunplay, John Wick also appealed to cinephiles who noticed its noir lighting and visual style. Drama lovers who connected to the quiet tragedy of the character. Pop culture audiences drawn in by its meme-worthy coolness and quotable lines. The audience is meant to feel John's rage, but also question its scale. Over 70 people die because of a puppy. Is this justified? Or is it a symbol of how pop media encourages hyperbolic responses to emotional injury? Cultural mirror. In an age of viral outrage, online cancel culture, and escalating revenge fantasies in media, John Wick functions as both wish fulfillment and critique. It satisfies the fantasy of pure justice, but also raises the moral question, at what cost? Whiteheavy checkmark conclusion. subtle but subversive. Though not overtly political or allegorical, John Wick weaves in a surprisingly rich layer of cultural and social commentary. Masculine grief and emotional repression. Structured violence in elite systems. Class and power hierarchies. Existential alienation in modern life. Culture's addiction to violent catharsis. These themes are never spoon-fed but are embedded in the film's tone, world-building, and character arcs. John Wick doesn't just kill, it reflects the world we live in through blood-stained mirrors. Would you like Video Camera, a YouTube video script in Urdu for this theme? A comparison with social commentary in films like The Equalizer or Joker. Card file box # a PDF version of this analysis for your channel documentation? Let me know. I can tailor it for your facts and review brand. Movie Camera John Wick, 2014. Audience engagement. Explained from a third-person perspective, in great detail. John Wick, 2014. Did not just earn audience admiration for its slick action. It emotionally and viscerally connected with viewers, creating an experience that triggered deep emotional responses, visual awe, and long-term loyalty. From the quiet pain of loss to the thunder of choreographed gunfights, the film offers a blend of emotion, adrenaline, and intrigue that keeps audiences deeply engaged, invested, and coming back for more. Red Heart #1. Emotional resonance through grief and love. From the outset, John Wick grounds its story in a quiet, universal emotion, loss. The early scenes of John mourning his wife, followed by the arrival of Daisy, her final gift to him, touch a nerve rarely reached in action films. When Daisy is killed, audiences aren't just shocked, they are heartbroken. The dog isn't just a pet, it's a symbol of hope, healing, and emotional connection in a broken life. The grief-fueled premise gives emotional justification to every bullet fired thereafter. Audience impact. This emotional setup creates instant empathy for John. Even casual viewers are hooked by his pain, making his revenge feel personal, justified, and deeply satisfying. Crossed Swords #2. Visceral excitement through action craftsmanship. The film revolutionized the action genre by delivering clear, precise, balletic combat that kept audiences riveted. Long takes and wide shots make the action readable and immersive. Gunfu techniques offer a unique blend of martial arts and firearm combat. The tactical realism, reloads, close-quarters takedowns, headshots, satisfies the modern audience's craving for smart, grounded violence. Audience response. These sequences elicited gasps, cheers, and awe, especially in theaters. John's combat style became iconic, inspiring memes, breakdown videos, and stunt fan edits across platforms. Face with Tears of Joy 3. Unexpected humor and irony. Despite its dark tone, John Wick includes moments of subtle, deadpan humor that audiences love. Viggo's dry line, "Oh," upon realizing his son killed John's dog is both chilling and funny. The world's over-the-top seriousness about assassin etiquette creates ironic tension. The repeated fear-driven reactions to John, "You stole John Wick's car and killed his dog," are funny because of how serious they are. Emotional variety. These lighter moments help balance the emotional tone, offering relief and adding texture. The humor is never out of place. It deepens the characters and enhances audience connection. Counterclockwise Arrows 4. High rewatch value and cult status. John Wick isn't just a one-time thrill. It invites repeat viewings because of the intricacy of its action choreography, the layers in its underworld world-building, the subtle emotional cues and symbolism, the style, from lighting to costume to sound, that fans love dissecting. Cultural engagement. Fans have created deep-dive analyses, fan art, cosplay, and lore breakdowns. It sparked a franchise and cinematic universe, proof of its long-term cultural imprint. Speech Balloon 5. Discussion and fan theories. The mysterious elements of the world building, the gold coins, the Continental, the Assassin Code, encourage speculation and online theory building. Is the gold coin economy symbolic of a lost moral system? Is the Continental a metaphor for diplomacy or the elite class? Audience discussion. Unlike many action films that fade after viewing, John Wick left fans asking questions, imagining sequels, and speculating about the lore, adding to the experience. Face screaming in fear 6. Shock and satisfaction. Certain moments are engineered to jolt the audience. The dog's death is deeply shocking and emotionally jarring. The precision with which John kills dozens of enemies elicits awe and disbelief. The boogeyman legend surrounding John creates anticipatory tension, building dread before he even appears in action. Emotional payoff. When John finally unleashes his skills, it's not just exciting, it's cathartic, offering a release to the tension the film carefully builds. Bar chart 7. Broad appeal, from action fans to art lovers. While hardcore action fans appreciated its stunt work, pacing, and gunplay, John Wick also appealed to cinephiles who noticed its noir lighting and visual style. Drama lovers who connected to the quiet tragedy of the character. Pop culture audiences drawn in by its meme-worthy coolness and quotable lines. Multi-layered engagement. This broad appeal created a cross-demographic cult following, from mainstream audiences to film students. White have a checkmark conclusion, a masterclass in audience connection. John Wick, 2014, masterfully engages its audience on multiple levels. Emotional, intellectual, visceral, aesthetic. Grief, loss, catharsis, lore, mystery, symbolism, gunfu, choreography, lighting, costume, design. By combining heartfelt emotion, visual poetry, strategic violence, and world building, the film delivers a cinematic experience that keeps people watching, talking, and feeling long after the credits roll. Would you like? Microphone # YouTube Urdu script about how John Wick emotionally hooks its audience. Bar chart, a chart showing audience reactions per key scene. A Twitter thread breakdown of its most viral, rewatchable moments. Let me know. I can help tailor the next content piece for your facts and review channel. Clapperboard John Wick, 2014. Comparisons to similar films. Explained from a third-person perspective, in great detail. John Wick, 2014, stands as a watershed moment in modern action cinema, a film that not only refined familiar genre formulas but also redefined standards for execution, world-building, and emotional integration. When placed side by side with comparable films from its genre, its own franchise, and similar director-led action films, John Wick consistently distinguishes itself as a fresh, stylized, and emotionally resonant experience. Raygun 1. Compared to other modern action films. Movie camera taken, 2008, vs. John Wick, 2014. Element taken John Wick. Protagonist retired agent, Liam Neeson. Retired hitman, Keanu Reeves. Motivation rescues daughter avenges dog or wife's memory. Tone gritty realism mythic noir. Action style quick cuts, shaky cam long takes, gunfu choreography. Emotion protective father quiet grief and loneliness. Analysis. While Taken was praised for its stripped-down, visceral intensity, John Wick offers greater elegance, precision, and emotional depth. Wick's fight scenes are balletic and tactical, whereas Taken relies on brute force brutality. The latter started the old man action wave, but John Wick elevated it to art form. Movie camera The Equalizer, 2014, vs. John Wick. Both films were released in the same year and feature stoic, skilled killers seeking justice. Yet their approach differs. The Equalizer uses a slower pace, heavier drama, and socially conscious themes, helping the oppressed. John Wick builds a mythical assassin underworld, using style and lore rather than realism. Wick feels like a genre reinvention, while Equalizer leans into traditional vigilantism. Movie camera Nobody, 2021, vs. John Wick. Nobody, written by John Wick's creator Derek Kolstad, is perhaps the closest spiritual cousin. Element Nobody John Wick. Protagonist suburban dad with a dark past retired hitman mourning his wife. Style brutal, chaotic, comedic sleek, elegant, solemn. Tone irreverent, ironic stoic, mythic. Action improvised, raw tactical, clean. Analysis. While Nobody carries John Wick's DNA, it leans more into dark humor and chaos, whereas Wick keeps a solemn, poetic tone. Both films celebrate physical performance and real stunts, but Wick retains a more serious emotional core. Globe showing Europe Africa 2. Compared to other entries in the John Wick franchise. Film expansion tone action evolution. John Wick, 2014, introduces world and emotional core personal, grounded gunfu revolution begins. John Wick, Chapter 2, 2017, world expands, markers, Rome operatic, stylish larger set pieces, more kills. John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum, 2019. Mythology explodes baroque, exaggerated horses, knives, book kills. John Wick, Chapter 4, 2023. Epic conclusion samurai western hybrid monumental, elegant, intense. Analysis. The first John Wick remains the most emotionally intimate and narratively tight. Later entries go bolder in scale and spectacle, but the 2014 original is pure in motive and vision, the foundation of the universe. It's the simplest, but often considered the best written entry in terms of emotional logic and arc. Film #3. compared to director Chad Stahelski's other work. Chad Stahelski, a former stuntman and fight choreographer, made his directorial debut with John Wick. Later, he directed all subsequent sequels. Stahelski's trademark is precise, brutal beauty, prioritizing real stunts, long takes, and clarity. No other film before John Wick captured that balance as sharply. Stahelski's other works, Wick sequels, Highlander reboot, Ghost of Tsushima upcoming, build on John Wick's visual and thematic foundation. John Wick, 2014, is Stahelski's most disciplined work, focused, tight, and surgically executed. Later films show him flexing his artistic freedom more widely. 4. Innovation versus familiarity. Category conventional John Wick's take. Retired assassin common trope elevated to mythic legend. Revenge plot simple formula emotional twist with the dog. Action shaker cam, overcut gunfu ballet with clean camera. World-building minimalist or exposition-heavy implied lore, mysterious rules. Tone realistic or bombastic stylized, serious, ironic mix. Conclusion. Where many films follow the genre formula, John Wick rewrites it through craft, clean aesthetics, emotional grounding, and an internal logic to its world. It draws from westerns, noir, samurai films, and video games, blending genres subtly without losing its identity. Bullseye final thoughts, a genre reformation, not just reinvention. John Wick, 2014, does what few genre films manage. It feels both new and classic, both emotionally personal and culturally epic. It redefined what action films could look and feel like. It created a template for modern action storytelling. And it managed to build a world so immersive, it became a franchise, a subculture, and a genre benchmark. Would you like a side-by-side visual chart comparing Wick to Taken, Equalizer, and Nobody? Microphone # YouTube Urdu narration for a video titled, How John Wick Changed Action Films Forever. Film projector # timeline of Chad Stahelski's evolving directorial style through the Wick series. Let me know. I can generate the perfect content structure for your facts and review channel. Dogface 1. The dog as a symbol of grief and hope. The most emotionally resonant symbol in the film is Daisy, the beagle puppy gifted to John by his late wife, Helen.